The next scenario that I'd like to take a look at is an event-based report. So in this report, we have a discrete event-based process where we're processing parts and jobs, and we might run a variable number of jobs per day, and they might start and stop at different times. So what we want to do is design a report that reacts to those events occurring in the process and adds a row of data for each event that represents a snapshot of that event or a summary of the state of the process at the point in time when the event has ended. So to do that, I'm going to go into the template studio again. This time I'll make a new template. And this time I'll actually start with a blank workbook. We'll call this the daily events log. Log of each machine cycle over the day, which is 2 words, as we know. And then I'll use a blank report template. And the first thing I'm going to do is add a data connection here. So I'll go into the Connect menu. I'll select the PLC connector. And I'll select, let's say, some KPIs from the mixer machine, and then I'll take some production total data as well. I'll leave the timestamp on this time. I'll save the group. Daily events log. We'll tag this one with mixer since it's got mixer data in it. And then I'll place it in B7 with the type insert at end. And the reason why you would use this type with events is because you can actually dynamically drive things like charts and summary formulas off of this. And I'll show you that in a moment. As the data gets inserted, as each row is added, any formulas or charts that are synced to those areas will stretch dynamically as each row is added. So let me just stretch this data out here, or stretch these columns out rather. And then I'm also going to add in a trend chart. So let me just stretch out an area at the top here. And then I can go into the chart wizard to add that. And I'll use a line chart. Actually, I'll use a scatter chart. Not to get too obscure here, but because we don't know how far spaced apart this data is, we're going to want the x-axis of the chart to be a value axis rather than a category axis. I apologize if that seems like gibberish to non-Excel users. But for the y-axis of the chart, let's just say we do product accept and product reject. And for the x-axis, we do the date and time column here in B. I'll enable the header rows option. And the reason why I'm selecting the heading and the first two is because with this option here, we'll get the series names after the column headings, and with the data placement set to insert, anything we have mapped to the first 2 rows where that's being inserted will be driven dynamically by the insertion. We'll call this not mixer trend. Let's just call it production totals. And then I'm going to place that chart into the top of the report here. And I just like to have the legend sitting on the top. So I'm just going to change that setting here. And then now I'm going to apply a naming convention so that, let's say I tally up all of my events on a sheet representing the day. So I'll set the name of the template sheet to day 1 through 31 for day of the month. And then I'll set the name of the workbook to year and month. And that way, if I ran this every day for a month, I'd get 31 sheets inside of a book representing that month. I'll also just select this hide template sheet on report update so that this blank sheet doesn't get copied into my report file. Now I can save. Once I click off the chart here, I can save. And then I'll go into the schedule, and I'll add a schedule for this report. While we're here, I'll keep things organized using an outline. So I will add an outline for annual flow report. And then I'll add an action for this report. And the action is going to be update the daily events log template sheet. The condition is going to be event-based. So let's say we have a tag in the PLC called cycle stop. And when that's equal to 1, we'll go and insert a new row of data with those KPIs on it at that point in time. And we'll add another outline in here for daily events. And now I can simulate this just by running the test tool here. Before I do that, I'll save. I'll close the template. Let's just say we had an event happen at 13:11, one at 13:25, and one at 14:07. And now if I go into the reports viewer, I select the daily events log template, you can see that I have a trend of my totals for accepted and rejected at each of those points in time. Now in the next segment, we'll come back and we'll enhance this one a little bit, and we'll show how it can be updated by multiple events at the same time, and how to reflect which event triggered which row of data each time that happens.